All right, all right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the collaborative call. Oh, we got Stacy's Fixer AI in here. Stacy, how did you get that fixer?
So at EXP, if you're a capping or an icon agent, you get it for free.
Yeah, you capped.
No, I got early access.
Yeah, that's who I'm trying to find the contact person for that so I can get early access to. If you can message me that, I need to get that.
It's on a need to know basis. So I'll let you know
Uh-huh.
if you need to know.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Welcome, guys. So remember, this is a collaborative call. So, like, we're not showing up to do a presentation. We're showing up to be collaborative with you. So, I need your participation. I got kind of like a little outline planned, and there's some things I want to show you after that that I think are very cool that I just discovered this morning. Every day, I'm discovering new amazing things about EXP. It's really quite fun, actually. But today, the topic that I had prepared for you guys was lead generation. So we're going to do a little convo about that. Share, share, share. Cool. So welcome. Let's get into a question first. You guys know me. Does everybody on here know me? Dave, you know me. Stacy, you know me. Um, Michelle, Ann, you know me. Okay. So real estate's just like this wonderful thing, right? Like I barely graduated high school. Look, I can't even spell high school in there. It's actually got a spelling error. But I'm going to be talking to you about some knowledge that I've learned over the years. So this whole conversation about lead generation is extremely personal to me because I've been able to do some amazing things in my career. Go on to be a top producer with Remax and build a top performing team in my market with them. I got to partake in some technology, be a co-sponsor, not co-sponsor, an initial investor and a co-founder in Commissions Inc. Went on to build our own real estate company, had a coaching company, joined EXP, had some good success there. And I really like when I boil it all down to the simplest of simple, it's all because I figured out how to make lead generation work. And if lead generation never worked for me, like I'm not on this call, I'm not talking to you right now. So, I'm real passionate about it because I think once we fix our lead generation troubles in our business, like anything's possible. For us, we were able to achieve a dream lifestyle, get all the things that we ever wanted, do all the things that we ever wanted to do, really just kind of seeking that freedom, right? So it's like, let's make some money in real estate and let's get some financial freedom or financial relief, maybe for a lot of agents right now. But then once you solve that problem, you're going to have another problem, which is like right now I'm making good money in real estate, but I'm so busy, I have no time freedom. So, lead generation can work to such an extent that you can build a team around it. That's what we did. We had so much lead generation happening. It was more than I could handle. And we were able to bring other people in to help support those leads, and ultimately create a team and then ultimately a company. So it's really important. And I would just like to open it up to you guys and say, like, what are you guys currently doing for lead gen right now? Like, what is your strategy?
For me, it's just online like content
Okay.
and that's basically it. And I do some email like newsletters.
Okay. Newsletters are great. Online leads. Dave, what are you doing to support your business?
Very inconsistently calling expireds.
Okay. Expireds. And like when you say inconsistently, give me like an honest gauge of that. Is it once a week? Is it once a month? Is it, every other day? Like what's inconsistent to you around there?
So for calling, probably closer to once a month. I do send out these letters that I had made up. I mail them to them.
Okay.
I'm pretty consistent with that, but
Okay. Um, what else are you guys doing for lead gen? Kevin, what do you do?
I'm not really in production, but when I was, I did quite a bit of farming.
Okay.
My wife is also a loan officer, so that helped. I did do quite a bit of expired calling. Never FISBOs, never concentrated on my past clients. It was mostly just proactive. Yeah.
Yeah, I started out on expireds as well. And And then I was like, man, these FSBOs are an opportunity, but they're harder to get your arms around. The information or the data that we were able to pull at that time wasn't as good. So I actually started doing $5 per FSBO. So I had like a little system, right? Because I had a team of like I think 6 agents when I started doing this, and then I had a full-time courier that was driving around. And I told him, I said, hey, if you can give me a picture of the house, a picture of the sign, and an address, those 3 things, if you can email those to me, I said, I'll give you $5 for every one. And we just started getting like FSBOs, and then I would just run them through my process, the same as expireds, and we were able to list them. So for me, it was like a very low cost lead gen strategy that I was utilizing through my own agents. It became
Actually, funny you mentioned that. I used to put labels on my envelopes, and I actually would steal the picture from the MLS and would put it like a like a return address label, like in the middle of like a big size, something like important information about your house, and smack in the middle is the picture of their house. So that seemed to work. Yeah.
That's awesome. What do you do, Todd?
In production or attraction?
For lead gen for production?
For production, um, probably as little as I've done in 25 years. That's certainly for sure. And automated KV Core database, mostly birthday, home anniversary. I've done a lot of things over the years, although now mostly automated. And this is not the time to rely on just that. I've come to understand. My pocketbook
you're looking
has come to
sharp, brother,
understand that.
man. You got a crisp little backdrop going there. I like it.
Thanks.
Yeah, so with that, like you're doing some KV Core. There is going to be a big announcement next week. Stacy, you going to the mastermind in Dallas?
I don't know. I keep looking at flights, possibly.
Okay. Well, there's going to be a huge announcement there. You're going to want to hear about it first. You're not going to want to hear about it secondhand. So you better get that flight going. But we are announcing a premier platform partnership. I don't know which one it is yet, but it's gonna be big. And they're gonna announce it next week. So could be a good, additional lead generation kind of strategy for those of you that want to partake in that. Not that there's anything wrong with KV Core. I think it's cool that we get it for free. I think you get what you pay for. In this case, nothing. It's a little bit like I'll probably date myself by saying this, but it's a little bit success website feeling to me, compared to what else is out there these days. So Jen and I are about to get our license in Montana, and we're going to sell real estate. Not like anything crazy, but like we're going to be in the game, and we are not going to be using KV Core for what that's worth. All right, who else wants to share something that they're doing? Is there anybody on this call, be honest, that is doing a thing consistently for lead generation?
What do we count as consistency?
Throw it at me and I'll tell you if I think it's consistent or not.
Expired probably 3 times a week.
Okay. Why 3 times a week and not 5 days a week?
Excuses, really.
Okay.
Honestly, just something else comes up. It's not super comfortable, so just finding any reason not to do it.
Okay, that's fair enough. I had that same problem, Eric. But when I did it for a period of time consistently, I realized that there was real gold there. So then I was like, man, if I'm not going to do this consistently, like I got to get somebody who will. So, I found a lady who was selling online college, like at an online college, and she was in my local market. I just ran like I think it was Indeed ad, and she hated her job. She was burnt out, and she was willing to be consistent and come into my office and kind of work my expired program. And she was with me for 7 years, and I made millions of dollars having her there. We would I would say for the first 5 out of the 7 years, the return on investment of her being there full time was like 7 to 10 ROI. And then I would say in the last 2 years that she was there, I was completely out of production, so I wasn't going on any of the appointments, and the conversion went down. So then she was like a 3 to 5 ROI, because I had to like pay her more over the years. So between paying her more and the conversion going down, but it was still like a healthy ROI. So like I would just say, you know, when it comes to lead generation, consistency is everything. So if you know you're not going to be consistent enough for a period of time to where you know your metrics. And then once you know your metrics, you can delegate it to somebody else. Cool.
Yeah.
So this is like what I see, right? Let me share my screen. Share. Why is my screen not sharing? Is it sharing, Stacy?
It is. It's actually on already.
All right. I'm still working. Zoom still. All right, there we go. I see my green. All right, so let's look at this. So these are generally, like, I would say this encompasses probably 90% of the lead generation strategies that I hear of. You know, I don't have probate on here. Some people do probate, and it's a really good lead gen source for them. What does Aaron call it? He calls it the waiting room to heaven or something. He's got some funny saying around it, but he's got people that kill it with probate. But I would say, like, when I talk to agents, you know, day in and day out, 90% of the agents, their lead generation efforts fall within these 7 here. So database sphere, cold calling, open houses, FSBO, expired, farming, Zillow, Realtor.com, social media. And I think, you know, on this call, we got online leads and we got expireds. And that's basically all we got. So these are good strategies, right? Here's what I often see though, and this was certainly the case with myself too. It was like, what's your lead generation strategy? Well, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing like 30 different things, and those 30 things collectively equal a total of 100, so 100% of what I'm doing. But like, notice that none of these things are more than 5 units. So it's like I'm going just a little bit deep on like all these different things. And this was something that Lars actually called out about me when he started coaching me back in 2013. He was like, dude, you're doing way too many things. And honestly, you're not doing any of them well. And I was kind of a gut punch, because I came into his coaching program like thinking like, hey, I'm like one of the top teams in my market. Like, I'm crushing it. And he just looked at me and was like, honestly, dude, you're not crushing anything. You're just doing a lot of stuff and you're not doing any of it well. And when he helped me hone in and say, let's get rid of all this thing and let's just do 3 things well, so that 3 things equal 100% of what you're doing, this was like revolutionary for me. It not only like gave me focus, but it gave me true math and metrics that allowed me to really grow and scale my business. And by focusing on 3 things done well, we were able to double our business and then double it again. And that was really the catalyst for getting myself out of production, which does not need to be your goal, but it was my goal. And I think it's important to understand, like, you know, not selling homes should only be your goal if not selling homes is your goal. And for me at that time, that was my goal. My core belief at this point is simple scales and complexity fails. What gets measured improve, what gets measured and shared publicly improves exponentially. So, well, I want to do a little exercise with you guys. I thought this might be fun. Everybody have a piece of paper and pen in front of them? Awesome. So let me set this up right. So I want you to, on your little piece of paper and pen in front of you, if you have one, I want you to write number 1 through 10, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And beside each number, you're either going to put a 0 or you're going to put a 1. 0 means that when I tell you this thing, you do not do this most of the time. And 1 would be you do this most of the time. So in the example of Eric, I would say that for expireds, you do it most of the time, because if we said like a full expired campaign is Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, and you're doing it 3 days, 3 days is more than 2 days. So it's most of the time. Does that make sense? All right. I'm going to give you that one. So number 1, you have a clear goal. Your income goal is written down and you know how many sales it takes to hit it. Like, you know, in my market, if I want to make $250,000, I need to sell 24 homes. Like, you know that math. Number two, lead tracking. You track your monthly lead flow and you know how many are needed to reach your goal. So you've done the reverse math. You know that in order to hit that sales goal of 24 homes per year, you need to have X amount of leads per month. You have an appointment focus. You know your target for buyer/seller appointments and you track it weekly. So what this looks like is like, hey, I know my business and I know my goal this year is that out of those 24 homes that I want to sell, I want 15 of them to be listings and I want 9 of them to be buyers. And I'm tracking that weekly. Like, how many appointments do I need to go on to get that? Time blocking. You proactively manage your calendar on Sunday or before Friday afternoon, maybe, for the following week. And you time block those critical activities so that, you know, if I was to have a conversation with you Sunday evening, you know, I'd say, hey man, how's your week looking coming up? And I was to ask you what your time blocking times were, you would say, hey, I got Tuesday between 8:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. I got Wednesday between 3:30 and 6:30 p.m. And I got Friday morning between 9 and 11. Those are my 3 time blocking appointments that I have for next week. And you would treat those as an appointment, just like you would with a client. And if something came up, it would fall somewhere else, but you wouldn't not be showing up to your appointment for a client. And that's how you got to treat your time blocking. There's no easier way around it, guys. Like, this is like basic blocking and tackling. And if you don't do this, like, you're going to have a business that's like a roller coaster. CRM discipline. Every lead, every contact is followed up and logged in your CRM. Don't really care what CRM it is, but you do this and every lead and contact is like, I used to tell my agents, I'd be like, dude, I know you just said that you called this person, but it's not in the CRM. Therefore, you did not call them. That's how I treat it. And when it comes to lead management policies and processes, like, that lead comes back to me or goes to another agent if you don't call them. And if it's not in the system, you didn't call them. Like, that's CRM discipline. And that discipline will literally give you freedom. When I first started and it was just me and an assistant who happened to be my mom and then my sister, it was agent office, man. And agent office is not glamorous, but it's super effective. Because I would go in there and I had way too much going on at that point to remember everything up here. And I would just go in and I'd open it up and it would tell me what I had to do. And I would check it off, check it off, check it off. And every time I contacted somebody, I would set another task to follow up with them at the pre-identified time or process based on how I was classifying or sorting them. And then I just had to complete that list. And if I knew that that list was completed, I could shut my laptop and go home at the end of the day and know that everything was well in the world until tomorrow. And then I would go in and open it up again and do the same thing. But that discipline is what allowed me to, you know, go on and sell a ton of homes and ultimately build the team and the company that I had. Lead process. Every lead goes through a structured lead qualification system. So I believe that these things can get more sophisticated over time. If you're starting from nothing right now, you know, make it really simple. Be like, I got a new lead. I'm going to call them and text them every day for 10 days until I get a hold of them. If I get a hold of them on day 1, great. Then I'm going to classify them and sort them and follow up accordingly. If I don't get a hold of them after 10 days, well, maybe I'll put them on a nurture campaign and touch base with them like every month. But like, it just needs to be simple and everybody needs to get treated the same. If everybody doesn't get treated the same, how do you know what your metrics are? You don't. You're like, well, my metrics are this, but like every time I approach the person, I follow up a different way. So how do I, like, it doesn't make any sense. And then you have defined systems. So you follow a proven process for buyers and sellers with clear presentations and unique value propositions. Meaning you have a system that you take every buyer through, you have a system that you take every seller through. When you go on a listing appointment, it's done the same way every time. The prep and the planning is the same way every time. Again, that's giving you data that will ultimately allow you to reverse engineer these goals. You have a marketing plan that's written and has a set budget. Client reviews. You collect and share reviews consistently to build trust and credibility. This should happen on every client that you work with. You should have a process or system for getting those reviews from them and really pursue that, because that's a main driver of future business down the road. And it's really a main, when I think about a real estate business and, thinking about like, okay, I'm going to sell real estate here in Bozeman, like the first few years are not the easiest years. But if you do it well and you do it right, each year should get easier because you're building upon the year before. You're building out that database, you're building those referrals and that credibility. But if you don't, you're just constantly on that hamster wheel. And then reinvest wisely. A percentage of your income goes back into your business to fuel new growth. This is probably like the one thing that I see keeps agents small and they never really like take off and grow, is because they have no reinvestment allocation strategy. They just kind of like do what they do and make what they make and spend what they make. And they don't have this, ability to consistently like feed back into their business to fuel growth. So with that said, is there anybody that's willing to share what their score was? You get a maximum amount of 10 points. You get a minimum amount of 0 points. Go ahead, Jim.
I had 6.
6, awesome. Anybody have higher than 6?
6 is good. It seems like
Hey
10.
man, 6 is failing, right? But I've done this many times, and matter of fact, I was talking to a room of about 60 people a week ago, and there was not one person in the room who passed. So it's like an eye opener, right? But I will tell you, when I was doing, $2.5 to $3 million GCI in my business, I had a perfect 10 on these. When I was struggling to make 300 grand, I was probably a 5 or a 6. So it's like, that was me. That was how mine worked. I would expect that would be similar stories for all of you. And if your business is cranking and you're failing this, dude, like, you're in a great market and there's an opportunity to double your business. Because I know some people that are killing it that would fail this test. And I'm just like, man, there's so much room for you to dominate your market so much better than you think you are right now. These are like principles, they're basics. Nothing that I shared is complicated. It's out there. Like, it's just core business practice stuff that we all need to have in place. So 5, 6, I got some 5 and 6s. Yeah. So it's like, how much time and effort would it really take to put this stuff in place? I mean, you could literally do like a quarterly offsite with yourself and figure all this stuff out. Like, even if you don't know how many leads you need right now, you could get with some people who've tracked this for a long time. Ask me, ask Stacy, ask Lars, ask Jason Chimpaw, and we could get you really close. And then you could borrow those conversions and numbers until you have numbers of your own. But knowing these numbers allowed me to go into my marketplace and do things crazy. Like, I would bring in a brand new agent that never sold a house before, and I'd be like, dude, I guarantee you'll make $100,000 this year, even though you've never sold a house in your life before. I guarantee you'll make $100,000 or I'll pay you the difference. And they'd be like, what? Like, how can you do that? And that was on a, less than 50% split to them with an average sale price of $225. You got to sell a lot of houses to make 100 grand on those splits in that average price point. But I would guarantee it, because for me, it was just math. It was like, okay, well, the way I'm going to guarantee this is you're going to have to do what I tell you to do. And I know that in order for this math to work out, you got to sell this many homes, which means you got to get this many leads, which means you got to make this many phone calls. And when I had 10 years of data across all different types of agents and personality types, the path was in the math. And I'd be like, dude, you got to make 300 phone calls a week, and you got to log everyone in the CRM. And you got to follow the lead process, and you got to use the presentations that I give you. And if you don't do any of that, guess what? You don't get the guarantee. But if you do what I tell you to do, I guarantee you'll make that money. And every time they did what I told them to do, they made that money. Some of them made double that money. And many, you know, several of them went on to have amazing careers and companies of their own now because they followed this framework. So it works. Like the work works, right? I know it works. And it just doesn't, like, I just think it's so important right now more than ever, where we're in kind of like this funky market where it feels like a reset, but it hasn't really resetted. Like we feel like we're due for a correction, but we're not really getting a correction. We're being sold all these new magic pills, but none of them seem to work. And everybody's excited about them for a day, but they haven't really utilized them and gotten the result. So it's like, what are we doing? Like, let's just take a beat. Let's go back to simple scales, complexity fails, and let's do a reset in our business. This is like a reset framework for me. It's like if I'm talking to any agent, I know if I can help them get these 10 things in order and well in their business, I can move their business forward. Whether they're selling 5 homes a year or 500, it doesn't matter. So yeah, just good stuff that I wanted to share with you guys today. Anybody have any questions on that?
I would love to ask a question actually. So I'm completely brand new to EXP. I'm pending my license. So I'm fresh baby here.
Awesome.
And so I would love to, because I can see some of you have probably been seasoned in real estate. I'm actually an interior designer and I've been in interior design for about 15 years. I also just recently sold my home. And so I'm curious to know if I've been working on a farming letter because of my subdivision where I lived in. I just sold it. I sold it for double what I bought it. So I really want to get that out. I want to know if farming letters, if you guys have seen success from them.
Yeah. So farming, and anybody else is free to jump in here. Farming letters absolutely do work. And I think if you can communicate your authentic self and how you're going to pivot that into what we call a USP, which is a unique selling proposition to clients. So it's like, what is your offer? Like what are you bringing to the table to service a buyer or a seller? You know, maybe it's I have a, background in interior design. I will help you find your dream home or turn that ugly duck into your dream home. And those are free services that I can provide. If you're talking to a seller, I will implement my interior design background in order to get you top dollar, something like that. I'm just throwing these out there. Like,
yeah, because it's architectural engineering and interior design. I know interior design always sounds like pillows and stuff.
I totally get it. In fact, I come from the same background lineage. I wanted to be an architect. I did an internship with an architect, which led me into proficiency with CAD, which led me into the interior design field where I was able to provide renderings to help people see the value, service designers. And then I got 3% from the designers, which was kind of weird because that's what we get in real estate or used to. And then through all of that, I was running an interior design business and a guy tapped me on the shoulder and said, I think you would kill it in real estate and you'd make twice as much money. And he handed me a check that day and said, this is yours if you want to come into the business. If it doesn't work out, keep it. And I was like, okay, let's go. So in 2002, I switched from interior design to real estate. And I know that the background that you have, that I had, added a lot of value to the buyers and sellers that I worked with.
Yeah.
So definitely don't be afraid to, kind of package that up and communicate that. The key thing to know with farming is that you've got to be committed to 12 to 18 months of consistency before you'll see any results.
Okay.
Not any results, but before you can expect results.
Okay.
Because everybody kind of like operates in a seasonality kind of way. So what would happen is when I farmed a community, more often than not, if I got invited to a listing presentation out there, they would go over to the drawer beside their refrigerator or the coffee pot and they'd pull out my giant postcard. I'd be like, man, I mailed that thing to you like, because I would always do success postcards. So it's like, I sold this house for double, and then they would pull it out and be like, man, that was from like 9 months ago, but they save it. And then they tell themselves, when I get ready to sell next spring or next fall or whenever, when I retire, I'm going to call this person.
Yeah.
So just go into it knowing that that's what it takes.
Well, I have one more question on if that's okay.
Yeah.
Again, so these farming letters, I'm creating some designs I work with a graphic designer, so they've really put it together this great bundle. But I'm curious to know, just because I'm a mom and I get mail all the time. Have you guys done like QR codes on the actual letters or postcards to make like kind of a digital file that they can put into their phone immediately so they have their contact information? Because the amount of papers that I get that I throw away and don't read, and I just keep thinking about that kind of turnaround of, all of the papers. Just I'm gonna farm it out, right? But do you guys put QR codes? Would you recommend that?
Actually, can I take this? Because when I was in production, I actually took over a subdivision of about 500 homes in about
Yeah.
6 months. Okay, it's
Mhm.
possible. And at that time, QR technology did not exist at all. I wish it did. So the only thing that I was using was just a one landing page, and that's it, that I would put on the postcards. That was it. If that was the case, boy, that would have been phenomenal. So QR codes are phenomenal because you don't have to type, you just take a picture. You can create multiple landing pages.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, with your interior decorator experience, you can actually offer that as a free staging advice,
That's what,
quote
yeah, I plan to.
unquote.
Yeah.
Right. Don't
Yeah,
offer
I
free
think so too.
staging because free staging you have to pay for it. But with free staging advice, if you start
Consulting. Yeah.
right, if you start kind of presenting yourself as a professional, you would absolutely appeal to ladies, with your experience in colors, in pillows, whatever, So that is going to make you stand out. But QR technology is phenomenal. And by the way, uh, imagine this: you create right now. There's technology for farming postcards where you can actually create a QR code for each address. So you will know who opens that link.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Imagine that. It
If you know
costs
what it
money.
is, could you put it in the chat for me? I would love to look into it.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think that I don't remember the name of the company that does it, but there are multiple marketing companies. Oh, the personal marketing company in Kansas City where I used to live. That's it. The personal marketing company, they provide that. So imagine how powerful that is because if somebody opens that, you know who opened it, and then you can, hey, maybe stop by and say hello to them, at an open house or invite them to an open house. So these are I wish that stuff existed, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think that
Awesome.
there's QR technology out there that you can like. It doesn't even have to be unique to the property. It'll capture their info when they go on and click on it. So you're
Yeah.
getting real info, not the info that they submit, which could have errors or could be false. When I did postcards, like there was QR code technology, but you had to download an app. It was super hard. It was like your phone would like never get it. It was like awful. But now it's like so quick and it goes right through your photos. So I would definitely add that. I would see no reason not to.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if it was, so none of that is like, I haven't even gotten to the EXP world yet, like brand new baby. So none of that is provided, right? I can just like free range, get that done, start working on it and find it myself.
I mean, I don't ask per permission, honestly. I would just do what
We
I
have
would.
so much in common. Okay. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
answering my
Look,
question.
you can look in Canva and they probably have some good templates in there to
Yeah.
start from and then kind of add whatever you want to it. But
Thank you.
Yeah.
I always feel like marketing isn't aggressive enough. Like if it doesn't make you cringe a little bit, like you're probably not stepping over that line enough. And you can do that in a way that's aesthetically pleasing. But like, the thing that I used with expired and FSBOs that I made millions of dollars was, this was going back 2007 to 2010 when the market was crashing. I said, I will sell your home in 39 days, guaranteed, or I'll pay you $4,000. And people were like, what? Like the average days on market was like 150 in my market. People didn't even think houses were selling at all because that was like the perception by the news. And I was coming around saying, dude, I guarantee I'll sell it or I'll give you $4,000. And people were calling me literally just to be like, I'm taking this guy's $4,000. And then I would go out and do my dog and pony, and it would be like, hey, in order for me to give you this guarantee where everything's selling at this rate and we're going to sell it at this, we're going to have to price it right. And this is the price that I can guarantee. And they'd be like, well, I don't want to do that price. I'd be like, well, that's fine. I can do everything that I just shared with you, but I'm only guaranteeing it if it's my price. And then I would list, 7 out of 10 homes without ever giving them that guarantee. but it's the guarantee that got the conversation started that got me in the door. And that's, your marketing has to be different, and it has to have an offer of value. That's what we call the unique selling proposition, in order to get it to convert. Cool. Anybody else before I move on? I got like 10 more minutes. All right. So these are the things that I tracked religiously over a decade. Again, there's other things that are good, but like not critical to the sales pipeline. This is my sales pipeline tracking. When I knew these numbers, it was like I knew everything I needed to know. Just like Gary Brecka says, if I got 5 years of your blood panel, I can tell you when you're going to die. If I have this data on you, I can tell you how you're going to thrive or not thrive. Like, it's just all I need. So like, I can't leave any of these things out. Like, this is what I need to know the full cycle and what we need to do. So like, this is as simple as I can make it. These are terms that I think are really important that people need to understand. Are lead acquisition costs, conversion, customer acquisition cost, and time acquisition cost. So like, when I think about marketing, and like, I'll be talking to an agent and they'll be like, oh yeah, I do this or that. I'll be like, cool. Like, well, how much did you spend to acquire a lead? And they have no idea. They're like, well, I'm spending some money here, I'm spending some money there, but they have no idea. And therefore they end up doing things like Zillow, spending $300 per lead because it feels like it's working because they're getting some closings, but they're really not understanding their profitability or what their conversion is, or how many of those leads they need to buy in order to get a sale. And so they don't know what their customer acquisition cost is, and they don't realize that they're giving away 80% or more of their, commission to acquire that customer through something like Zillow. And then time acquisition costs. Like, I have this kid in my organization. I call him a kid. He's a kid to me. He's freaking killing it. But he's stuck in this paradigm of like, he does cold calling and door knocking, and he's killing it. But I'm like, all right, dude, you're killing it. Like, you leveled up and you got out of the gate strong, but you need to stop doing that. And he doesn't understand that. He's like, no, this is what I do. I don't spend any money. I'm like, yeah, but you're spending all your time.
Yeah.
And like, if you keep doing that, this is the ceiling of your growth. If you start doing what I'm trying to tell you, you can go to a completely different level, because now money is not your problem, time is. So now you can make an investment into marketing to get your time back so that you can do more deals. And that's kind of what we're trying to work with him on. But like, if you don't understand your time acquisition costs, like, guys, the stuff that I did, like expireds and Fisgos, when I started, was not what I did when I ended, like, selling real estate. So you might have to do some stuff that sucks, and you might have to put a lot of time into that, and it might not be something you enjoy doing. But if you'll do it for enough time to know your metrics, then you can delegate it and you can get that time back, and you can make an investment into a person or something else to help you get more leads, to close more deals. That makes sense? Any questions on that? I got something else I want to show you if we don't. Who on this call, by a show of hands, is interested in, agent attraction? Awesome. These are my people. So pretty much everybody's hand went up. Well, one of the ways to do agent attraction with everything that we have in mind is like, we need to acquire leads. And if our agent attraction business isn't where we want it to be, and it's not humming along like we want it to be, we just have to understand that, very similar to real estate, we might be in the just starting out phase. And if we're not consistently bringing on 2 or more people a month personally, I would say we're in the just starting out phase. And we can all be in that stage, myself included. And one of the things about agent attraction that's cool is you can like kind of take pauses and go back to it, and there's no shame in that. But let's just say that we're all in the getting started phase. Well, now we have to probably do a lead generation strategy. It's going to be time consuming. But if it's time consuming and it's conversion favorable, what else are we doing? Like if we're saying this is important to us, we should be willing to invest our time in it. So one of those ways, Jessica Wade does a really good job at this. She learned the strategy from Elizabeth Riley, who's, you know, number 3 in the company and number 4 in the company in the world. And it's this concept of doing ahas. So she runs an aha meeting in her market where she invites agents from other brokerages, and you know they have a meeting and it's brand agnostic, and hey, let's get together and let's share our ahas, like things that we're learning, things that are working, things that we're doing. So with that foundation and thought process in mind, let me show you something I found this morning that might help you if you wanted to do this kind of lead gen. So in the sponsorship and retention toolkit is, so everybody knows where toolkits are. So you go to toolkits, there's a new one called sponsorship. You click on the sponsorship one. Inside of here is something called customizable training packages. So you click on that, takes you to all these trainings. Look at all these trainings here. Every one of these could be a weekly aha meeting. Success through prospecting. So I click on that. I'm like, awesome. I click here to customize. Click here to jump me into Canva. Now I have this whole training. I can replace this picture with my picture. I can change the title I want. I have a fully professional training that I can change, you know, modify a little bit, but it's all there. Like 3 clicks of a button, and I have a whole presentation that I could literally make my own in 5 or 10 minutes. And I could run a weekly aha for realtors with topics already predefined for the next coming 3 months. Like, isn't that awesome? I thought it was awesome. Every day I'm finding new stuff. Like,
I've
this
never
doesn't
even
have to
seen
cover.
that in
No,
those
I haven't either.
toolkits.
I found it this morning.
How
So
do you, John?
yeah. What?
How do you get there?
You go to toolkits.
Yep.
So go to EXP landing page.exprealty.com toolkits, scroll down to the sponsorship, click let's go, click on customizable training packages, gives you a whole list from the EXP University of customizable training. Pick one that suits your fancy, promote the title, click here to customize, links up with your Canva. Click one more button, you're in Canva, and now you can customize this any way you want.
That's awesome.
It's
Thank you.
so sick. Like, I'm gonna do this in Bozeman. I think it's amazing. So anyway, that's my new finding of the day. So like, whether it's agent attraction or it's your production business, if your business isn't where you want it to be, stop spinning your wheels and looking for something to fall out of a tree in your lap, and just get real with like where your business is. Go build the basic foundation again, understand what you need to put in place, and then just start building it. And you'll be glad you did, you know, 6 or 9 or 12 months from now. But it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Cool, cool. All right, guys, thanks for showing up today. Thanks for your participation. We'll have a different speaker next week, which is Janie next week, Stacy or Lars.
You know what? Let me check really fast.
And any of you, if you guys have something that's working and you want to share, we'd love to get you on here and have you run a call. So don't be bashful. And if there's somebody that you want to invite, you're like, hey, this person's got something, introduce them to Stacy or myself, and we'll get them on the call.
Yes, Garrett is actually next week. So Garrett Maroon runs a group for agents, for Christian agents, but he's going to talk about building a predictable, profitable business that aligns with who you are. And he just wrote a book as well, so he'll be talking about that. But he's an agent just like us. He's in Game Changers. This will be a really good one. So don't be afraid to invite guests as well.
Awesome. Thank you, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.